Hello viewers, today we are studying the extension, monitoring and evaluation. Extension means stretching out the education from the rural masses. The school dropouts, the youth, they are totally illiterate, and how we can educate them by providing a non-formal education through the extension education. And in extension program planning, so many of the programs of far-reaching significance are already on the way, and to assess the progress and success of these programs, we must have a monitoring of this program. And since the program is already completed, then we must have a process of the evaluation. But judging the value of something when the program is already at the fag end, that is evaluation. And therefore, we would like to discuss the detail in extension, monitoring and evaluation in this today's lecture. Evaluation meaning and scope. What do you mean by the evaluation? Evaluation consisting of two words. Evaluation, judging the value of something, is an evaluation. Formal evaluation is the process of systematic appraisal by which determine the worth, values and meaning of something. You must find out what is the value of this program, what is the significance of this program, and what is the meaning of this program, and therefore, this is a process of a systematic appraisal also. Something in extension may be a program or a part of program, a method used in carrying on extension work, or a situation such as community, as a block, or even in a large area. Some of the program is already on the way to implement this program. On the way to evaluate the program, we will find out whether the program is moving on the right direction or wrong direction. We must have some monitoring on the way when the program is already implemented. By which method we are monitoring this program? There are certain methods through which we can monitor the program, whether the program on the right path or deviating from its original objective, that comes under the method. In which situation we are finding out the process of evaluation, that is also taken care of while after the implementation of this program. These are the parameters of effective evaluation and meaning, and what is the scope of evaluation. If the program seems to be very successful, that can be implemented in other parts of the area, and therefore, the evaluation plays a very important role for judging the value of the program, so that any program can be implemented on the pilot basis, and therefore, the evaluation plays a dire necessity to find out the success and failure of any programs. The main purpose is to facilitate effective decision making without jumping on the conclusion. We cannot reach to any conclusion unless and until we can find out some significance of the program, and that is only be possible through the process of evaluation. How well the desired behavioral changes have taken place as a result of extension educational efforts. There are certain desirable behavioral changes can be judged by four means. At present, what is the knowledge of the clientele system? After implementation of the knowledge system, what increase in gain in knowledge, that comes under the first parameter of the behavioral changes. Secondly, skill development under the behavioral changes. What type of the skill one particular person has after implementation of this program? There are certain methods of skill improvement of this program. Out of that, training is one of the important method for enhancing the skill development with the help of induction training program, with the help of an expert also. And third component of the behavioral change is an attitude. Attitude is a degree. Attitude is a degree of positive and negative effect, but these effects can be associated with some psychological object. For any program, some individual may have negative attitude, some individual may have positive attitude. We must find out what is the degree of attitude, and the attitude can be judged in a 3-point or 5-point continuum, through which we can find out this is a positive sign or it is a negative sign. This is a third parameter of the behavioral changes. And fourth is understanding. As we all know, in the remote areas, in the village areas, people are residing in far-flung areas where the level of understanding varies from individual to individual, because there are certain social parameters in which rural masses are living. There are difference in educational pattern, there are difference in socio-economic status, there are difference in their perception level, and therefore, the level of understanding may varies from individual to individual, and therefore, if we can find out the behavioral changes of the individual, 4 things are necessary, that is knowledge, skill, attitude and understanding, and therefore, we will find out the behavioral changes have been taken place as a result of extension educational efforts. Extension educational efforts can be judged out by the positive sign in the behavioral changes, and that can be judged. There are certain scientific skills are available to find out the behavioral changes, to find out the knowledge structure, to identify attitude skill is also there. There are certain educational scientists like Thurston, they have developed the attitude skill also, through which we can find out what is the level of the behavior among us the villagers. The degree of evaluation, there are 5 degrees of evaluation. Casualty evaluation, a simple observation. Suppose myself, I want to evaluate myself, I am getting a salary per day, salary may be 5,000 rupees. What is my output about this matter? That I can know only. Suppose you are a student in the class, you must know how many class I have attended today and how many class I have missed. This is that evaluation can be taken care of yourself. You can tell your parents that I have attended so many of the classes, but you know 3 classes you have missed in the classes, and this comes under the casual day evaluation. Every day you evaluate yourself, that can be improve your competence and effectiveness while you are job, while you are students, while you are employed somewhere else, because you are only the man who can evaluate yourself. That comes under the everyday evaluation casually. Self-checking, make consciousness attempts to apply the principle of evaluation, that is by checking on ordinary observation, talking with others, getting other people's judgment. Suppose you want to discuss this matter with someone else, you definitely will find what type of structure, what type of caliber this gentleman is having. By way of talking statement, by way of oratorial skill, by way of observation, you can find out this man belong to a backward caste. Suppose you are discussing some matter with someone, definitely you will find out this is really a sense of belongings. The gentleman has a sense of belongings. This is a very efficient person. That is self-checking. While discussing with someone, you can find out the level of evaluation in a particular person. Then third is do it yourself. Involve more carefully planning, apply the principle of evaluation, and are more systematically done. They usually require a survey or a scorecard. Sometimes what happen, just by observation, at the time of political election in the villages, number of channels are they initiated the survey and they gave you a result. Then now in this election, this party is gaining result, and this party is not gaining result, only by base of the observation, only by base of survey, and some scorecard to be sent, and they just send by randomized basis, they fill up the scorecard and find out concluding, and judgment can be drawn based on this survey and scorecard. And third is an extension study, more complex with scientific approaches. Extension studies mean this is not a scientific study, just extempore. A report can be developed by just my observation, that is just my personal interview, questionnaire can be sent, gather the data and apply some measurements and find out some extension study. And lastly is a scientific research experimental study. In this study, you have to apply with some scientific statistically measurements, inferences can be drawn. There are certain parameters of the scientific study. First, what is the introduction of your study? What is the methodology of your work? What are the research design you would like to implement for program? Suppose we want to find out the evaluation in a particular village A. It is very difficult for a person to cover the entire village within a stipulated time. The only parameter is to take a random sampling, draw a random sample. Different villages are to be identified and different strata is to be formed, and based on the stratified random sampling, you draw the sample, inferences can be taken care of, analyze the data, and your interpretation can be taken care of while decision can be made by applying some statistically measurement and significance can be drawn. That type of evaluation comes under the scientific research study without any biasness. No one can claim on validity and reliability of your evaluation, and this type of evaluation plays a very important role for development of this program, but it requires some time also. These are the 5 degrees of evaluations. There are certain steps of the program planning. Extension program is consisting of 4 statements. These are analysis of the situations, identify the objectives, gathering the problems and give the priorities to the problem and give the remedial measures of this problem based on the time, available resources. These are the extension programs. But there are certain steps of implementation of this program, and right from formulation, implementation and up to the evaluation, there are certain steps which we have taken care of while formulation of this program. Collection of the fact. We have to collect the data only for the particular village for which the program is to be implemented. Pertinent data may be collected from the available record and by survey of the area. Suppose a particular area in which you have to implement this program, you have to gather the basic information. Suppose you want to introduce a yielding variety in a particular area without gathering the information, without going through the past data, and later on you implement the program and also research to the village and find out what is the availability of the irrigation resources. The farmer says, we do not have any irrigation tube well. That means you have not gathered the prior information and your program is not achieved the success and program seems to be a failed. And therefore, collection of fact, pertinent data may be collected prior to implementation of the program plays a very important role for implementation of this program. Second, analysis of situation. Data information collected are analyzed with the local people for understanding the situation in its proper perspective. Sometime what happen, situation varies from village to village, from farmers to farmer, from person to person, and therefore, once you gather the information, the situation can be analyzed. In this village, program is meant for a below poverty line person, but in the particular village, none of the person belong to below poverty line. Your situation may be worst. Sometime what happen, and therefore, you analyze the situation and discuss the modalities with the locally leader available in the village. Sometime in Sarpanch is there, Pradhan is there, even the political persons are also interference developing of the program, and therefore, you must contact with the local leader and find out that these are the situation through which we can implement the program. If they all have a consensus about this program, then only when the program seems to be achieved the success in an effective manner. Then identification of problem. The proper analysis and interpretation of the data shall help in correctly identify the problem. In villages, so many of the problems come across before implementation of the program. More than 100 problems are there. It is very difficult for even a person like me or you, even very difficult for the government to solve all the problems at a moment. We must gather the problem, available resources can be identified, and I try to find out what type of problem are there, and we must give some priorities to the problem. Out of 100 problems, 10 problems are very acute. They must have a felt need for the farming community. Identify 10, out of 10 problem, only we can find out the remedial measures of 2 or 3 problems within a stipulated time, and therefore, we can only identify 2-3 problems which are directly or indirectly relevant with the entire masses of the rural community. Then only when our program seems to be a very successful. Then determination of the objective and goal. Once the problem has been identified, remedial measures have been sorted out, then you have to determine the objectives and goal. Objectives are then set forth on the basis of significant need identified. Objectives should be direct and stated in clear form. We have already discussed this matter. There are 2 types of objectives in the implementation of the program. One is an informative, another is an persuasive. If you just to pass on the information to the farming community, whether they adopt the program or not adopt the program, it does not bother. You just pass your time, kill your time, that is comes under informative program, that is just to process the information only. But if you wish this program must be implemented in a systematic manner, a farmer must adopt this program in the right perspective, then you must give some idea, must give some incentive, through the persuasive objective is to be formed, so that the significant and positive goal can be achieved in the right perspective. If the objectives are right things, goal can be achieved in a very systematic issues. Developing the plan of work and calendar of operation. Suppose you want to complete your entire program within 6 months, you have to identify calendar of the program. In first fortnight, what are your ideas? In second fortnight, what is your ideas? And within stipulated time, you have to wind up the program in a systematic issues, and calendar must be chalked out. Otherwise, what happen? All haphazard things are there, and it is very difficult for you to complete the entire program within stipulated time even also. In written form, indicate who shall do what do, who will take care of arrangement of the seat, who take care of providing a training program, who can take care of conducting the demonstration. That job can be distributed among the all staff members. Calendar of operations shall be prepared on the basis of plan of work and shall specify when a particular work shall be done within a stipulated time. If the calendar are to be prepared, then only when we can say this program can be completed within a stipulated time in a very systematic perspective. Then follow through the plan of work and calendar of operations. Once the program has been formed out, you have to strictly adhere with the implementation of the program and a very systematic issues. A training of participants, the communication of information, conducting method demonstration, making regular visit, monitoring some of the important functions, the extension agent need to be performed at this stage. Some of the program can be implemented while implementation of the demonstration of the farmer's field, while checking with their local varieties with the hiding varieties, so that the clientele system can see from their own eyes how best we can effectively implement this program in a systematic method. And training is only the method through which we can enhance the gaining knowledge and behavioral changes among the rural masses is a very important parameter for developmental any of the program. And lastly, when everything is systematic going on well, all the evaluation stage plays a very important role for determining the extent to which the objective has been attained. Once we have formulated the objectives, in what way and what extent we can achieve the objective in a systematic manner, things are taken care of. Even after the judgment, monitoring evaluation is the last stage of completing the program in a very systematic manner. Reconsideration and revision of the program. There are certain problems we come across while implementation up to the evaluations. Even some problems are there, some drawbacks are there, we can moving on some wrong direction, we must reconsider in implementing the program in another village also. On the basis of the result of evaluation, program should be reconsidered and revised if needed. It shall help in making necessary corrections and modification of the program. The purpose is to make the extension program more effective by removing the defects. Reconsideration is only the method through which whatever defect we come across with us, that we can find out some solution and identify some remedial measures to overcome these problems, so that in future such type of problem may not come across, and we can definitely go ahead with the successful of the program in almost all the villages as time to come. There are certain steps of program planning. We have to process through the different steps of program planning. The first step of program is collection of the fact, analysis of the situation. What type of resources are available in the villages? How best we can use the effective utilization of the resources? What type of population is there? Caste, creed, other beliefs, social parameters, norm, tradition, rituals, that have to be taken care of, because in villages there are so many of the social hurdles are there. So many of the castes are prevailing. Which caste is thickly populated in particular village? How many organizations are there? What type of institutions are there? Different parameters we have to collect before implementation of the program. If we are fully well versed with the local situation of the particular village, definitely I don't think there is no other problem in implementation of the program, and therefore This is a foremost and one of the important stages in implementation of the program, that is collection of facts, that is analysis of situation. Whatever situations we have collected, we must give the analysis of the thought. This type of a situation may sometimes create a problem. In the implementation of the problem, we must find out the remedial measures. We sit together with the local leader and find out what this is a situation which may fear that this situation may create a lot of problem later on, and therefore, the analysis of situation during the program plays a very important role for developing and implementation of the program. And third, in identification of the problem. We have already discussed before that so many of the problems are facing with the farming community or clientele system. We must identify which problems are facing acute, which problem are moderate, which are being not necessary to solve at the moment. We must identify these problems which are acute problem, which are being faced by majority of the clientele system. We have to taken care of the first problem. Then only when we can reach to the conclusion in a systematic manner. Then determine the problems and objectives. Once the problems have been identified, then we have to identify some of the objectives. Objectives are a systematic issues through which we can attain the goal in a systematic manner. There are two types of objectives are there, informative and persuasive. In extension program, we must take care of a persuasive objective, so that whatever idea I have in my mind, I definitely ready to pass on to the clientele system. Okay, now this is the benefits of your program, and I try to persuade to rural masses to adopt the program in a very right perspectives. Then developing plan of work and calendar of operation. So many of the activities we have to complete with a stipulated time, and therefore, calendar of the plan of activity with the duration of time, with duration of staff, give the responsibility to each other, that must be taken care of when a systematic issues that have to cover within a stipulated time also. Then follow through the plan of work and calendar of operation. We must take care of the follow-up operation also. When program is to be initiated, when we likely to complete the program, that can be taken with the coordinated and coordination effect, integration of the program with the limited activity, that can be taken care of. Then evaluation of the program. Program can be achieve the success only when we can find out, we can go for evaluation of the particular stage. There are certain processes of evaluation, there are degrees of evaluation. We can have a scientific study, extension study, do yourself, casual study. So many of the methods are there through which you have to take care of evaluation. And best evaluation nowadays, what happens is a third party evaluation. Person is not connected with you, they can give a unbiased opinion, a free opinion, so that you can pass on this program to other block also, and that is a very important. And last is reconsideration and revision of the program. If there is any deficit, any problems, any maladies of the program, we can reconsider. Okay, now these are the problems and which are we are facing this problem. We can reconsider the program. We can revise the program in a systematic issues, so that in future such type of a problem may not come across with us, and we implement the program in a very systematic issues. Program development process. There are certain process for developmental of the program. Collection and analysis of the data is a prior information. We have to gather the information in a systematic issues. Determination of the need and objective. What is the need of a particular person for whom the program is to be formulated and implemented, and different objectives are chalked out prior to implementation of this program. Definite identification of the problem. We have to find out the problems and finding the solution in a systematic issue, selecting the problem and give the priorities to the problem also. So many of the problems are there, we have to give the priorities of problem. Prepare a plan of action, different plan of action has to be taken care of. Carrying out the plan, checking the evaluation result, review the progress and projection of this means evaluation, decision, planning and action plays a very important role for development of this program. Today in this part of study, we have discussed the monitoring and evaluation of extension programs. Extension programs have a various stages for developing of the program, right from formulation, implementation and evaluation. They need a systematic evaluation, because there are implementation of the program, we must have a certain steps through which we have to process from right from collection of data till the evaluation. And For after the implementation of the program, there is a dire necessity of evaluate the program, and we can find out if the some problems are facing, and also identify the problem and find out the remedial measures of these problem, so that in further reconstruction and revision of the program can be taken off if there is any lacuna in the program, so that when we implemented the another blocks also, that same problem may not across with the clientele system, and program right from formulation of the program, implementation and evaluation program, every agreement and consensus are there in the villages, and therefore, this is a very important ideas for evaluation and monitoring supervision of extension program, plays a very important role for developing the program, a sound program for enhancing the awareness of the farming community, a very systematic manner. Thank you.